So it's come to my attention that I haven't done a Warhammer video in a while. Sorry, I just could, there wasn't really a desire to make make one, or a drive, or like a reason to make one. But I kind of thought, since we are still riding the high of the the premiere of Doctor Who, The Giggle, and the appearance of the new Doctor and what that could ensue, I thought it would be kind of fun to do a video talking about what Doctor Who alien races could survive in Warhammer 40k and be like a credible threat. So we're gonna go with only 6 races, because we have so many. Doctor Who has an enormous amount of alien races, with all varying from different forms. But we're only gonna go with 6, and those 6 are the Time Lords, the Cybermen, the Daleks, the Ice Warriors, the Silurians, and yeah. I named them all off. Oh, and the Sontarans. That was the one I was missing. Sorry. So we're going to go with those 6 races. And to make it more interesting, we're going to rank the ones who could have the least amount of survivability and most. So yeah, this is going to be a ranking list and talking about what it would be like if these races existed in that universe. So let's get this started with the lowest, and one who would probably get, exterminatus right out the ass. And that is the Silurians. The Silurians, while they are an intelligent race of humanoid reptiles, they're not exactly... And yes, they did build an ark and do have ship capability, but they're also... The Silurians aren't really known for absolute warfare. And when they do fight wars, they tend to lose a lot to humans with normal guns. So what could you imagine if they encountered a 12-foot-tall ultramarine with a chainsaw sword looking to anally violate a Xeno scum? There you go. The Silurians, while they would be I do think the Silurians would be a credible threat. The problem is they just don't have the technology to really compete with anyone of that race. I really do not think anyone in that universe would see the Silurians as a threat. The Silurians would be fighting for their fucking life every day. And since they are Earth-based, I would imagine that the Custodes would probably be the first ones to go like, you're all dead now. So, yeah, the Silurians would be the first one off the list. Now we move on to our next one, and this one has a little higher chance, and those are the Ice Warriors. Why do I think the Ice Warriors have a better chance of winning over the or not winning, but surviving in the world of Warhammer 40k? They are warriors in their own right, and they did have a massive intergalactic empire at one point before it all went to shit. The Ice Warriors are, of course, Martians. They have advanced weapons capability, warp capability. They're also capable fighters. While we don't see it a lot, the Ice Warriors have been known to fight, to have a massive empire that lasted for eons, until it all, again, went to shit. So, the Ice Warriors are dangerous, they're strong, but the thing of it is that they, in some of the lore of Doctor Who, it's kind of a reference that Ice Warriors don't breed a lot. They don't have a lot of children, and also, their numbers have severely depleted over the Empire's crumbling. So, while the Ice Warriors do have the technology, I do think they do have the technology to put up some kind of fight. There really isn't, in any way, shape, or form, I don't think in any way they are capable of putting up much of a fight. They could, well, I take that back. They do have a good chance of putting up a fight, but again, the technology that the Ice Warriors have kind of pales in comparison, and while I do think they could probably put up a fight against some of the chapters of the Imperium, I don't think they would last that long. Not to mention, they have to contend with it's not just the Imperium you have to fight. It is basically everyone. It's just, the whole thing of Warhammer 40k is that it is just one big drunken intergalactic bar fight, where everyone's just punching everybody. And the Ice Warriors, while they are warriors, they're a warrior race, and they are capable of, I do think they'd hold their own and probably win a few battles, The problem is they just don't have the numbers and can't procreate as fast as all the other races can. So that's why I put the Ice Warriors at that list. Now we move on to our next one, the Sontarans. Why do I think that... Okay, so let's talk about the Sontarans. The Sontarans are literally the most war-ready of... Well, one of, if not the most war-ready of any of the Doctor Who alien races. If you threw them into the Warhammer universe, they'd be like, let's go! Sontarans are literally built for war. They are literally a race that is built for combat, and that's all they do. They're genetically cloned from each other to battle an alien race called the Rutans, which are shape-shifting jellyfish. Never worry about that. So they are capable of propagating at a massive speed, much like the orcs in Warhammer. They're intelligent, and they're capable of harnessing weaponry that is very advanced, and have ships that could probably hold their own against, you know, various races of the universe of Warhammer. These guys, like I said, have something that neither the Silurians or the Ice Warriors have. They have something they don't have, which is they can reproduce fast, because they're cloners. So they can just make clones upon clones of their race. They can just literally just keep going and going and going until you just, like, even if you destroy their clone facilities, they'll just build another one. These guys are also have capable weaponry. They're also, for their size, they're actually very physically strong. And they're all intelligent. They're bred with knowledge of combat memory. The problem is, they don't really use it. The Sontarans don't really use that whole combat knowledge that they are so ingratiated with, and it's more like, shoot it till it's dead. And yes, that's kind of the mantra of a lot of the races in the universe, of the Warhammer universe. The thing is that the Sontarans don't think, they just shoot. And while they are capable of thinking of some plans, they aren't really, like, all that capable of handling enemies that are, you know, on their same level, shall we say. There's a reason why they don't go pick fights with the Cybermen or the Time Lords or the Daleks. They just don't want to get punched in the mouth by a race that's equal to, if not greater than them. So, while I do think the Sontarans could probably hold their own and definitely carve out a piece of the galaxy for themselves, it wouldn't probably last. It probably would get overwhelmed by either the Like, there's a difference between, you know, the physical strength of a Sontaran and a Ultramarine who is either a Black Templar or a Chaos Marine. You know, there's a massive strength difference there. But I do think the Sontarans would be like, yes, glorious war for ages. We would bask in it. Alright, so let's move on to our next one. Let's see, like, who has a better chance of surviving than the Sontarans. And next up on our list is the Cybermen. The Cybermen would terrify me if they were in the Warhammer universe. The Cybermen, either they be from the Counter-Earth or the Mondasian Cybermen. The Cybermen, regardless, can procreate at a fast pace, because it's not procreation, it's assimilation. These things would move at a like, they would just harvest. It's not like with they don't need just humans. It is seen in other versions that they are capable. If you give the Cybermen enough time, they will be able to genetically modify themselves or cybernetically modify themselves to assimilate other races. So that's what I think they would be able to do if you give them enough time. They'd be also converting Tyranids and others. I think this would also help if they, like, either allied or tried to assimilate into the Necrons. If they got a hold of Necron technology, or, God help us, the Austate Custodes, not the Custodes, the Mechanus. Oh God, it would be a massacre. It would be an absolute massacre of godlike proportions. The reason why I put the Cybermen just a little lower, and I was thinking about putting them higher over the other two, but the reason why I put the Cybermen at third place is because the Cybermen don't really change tactics. They are capable of war, but the thing is, they don't really adapt to it. They aren't, like, the Cybermen are capable of all-out combat, but the thing is, that's not their thing. They don't do the whole, we're gonna battle you out for long periods of time because we think we can outlast you. Also, the Cybermen are quite literally incapable of combating against, like, gold or things like that. And not to mention, if you screw with their cybernetic systems, they're done. And I guarantee you, the Necrons are not going to allow that. And they also have no response for the chaos gods. The Cybermen have no response to that. And it could be hard, now that I think about it, for them to try to cyberdize the Tyranids, because we do see that Tyranids are kind of resistant to that, kind of like Species 347 against the Borg. But I digress. So Cybermen, I do think they would be a big threat, but I don't think. But I do think if you fight them long enough, it would be kind of a stalemate at most. And they would just be brawling like everyone else in a constant stalemate. Anyway, next up for our second runner-up is the Daleks. Why do I put the Daleks here? Well, the Daleks are one of the most adaptable races. Again, like the Sontarans and the Ice Warriors, they're built for war. Not only that, they are built for genocide. And that's very much like every other race in the Warhammer 40k universe. These things are built for domination, they're built for extermination, and they'll do anything they'll get away with it. They took they declared war on one of the most powerful alien empires in the Doctor Who universe, the Time Lords themselves, and even learned how to manipulate time as a weapon. That's scary. The Daleks are also very adaptable, much like the Cybermen, but even on a more scarier level, because these things, they learn fast. The Daleks' armor is very much capable of harnessing and manipulating energy and matter, and also, like, learning and adapting. It only took a few bullets to realize, oh, I can just the armor can adapt to that. So that's something you have to take into account. The Daleks are also capable of, I know, they look ridiculous. They look like flying trash cans with plungers on their arms. But the thing of it is, these guys are one of the most feared races in the universe for a reason. It took only 4 Daleks to kill their way through several Cybermen. It's not a contest. Like I said earlier, a lot of other races steer clear of the Daleks because they're terrified of what they could do. So, yeah, I think also they also are very capable of understanding other races' technology real fast. So when you put a Dalek and give him enough time to download enough information on the other alien races in the Warhammer universe, they're going to be a problem. They're just going to be straight up madness. And that's not it. And I'm not even talking about all the horrors they unleashed during the Time War. Could you imagine what they could do with the horrors they unleashed on the Time War and mix that with the whatever they could dig up in the Warhammer universe? Horror incarnate, like, horror doesn't even describe it. So yes, that leaves us with our final race that could probably hold their own in the Warhammer universe, and that is the Time Lords. Why the Time Lords at the top? Well, first off, they can regenerate. They can't really. It really takes a lot to kill a Time Lord. They're all super geniuses, and let's be real, there aren't a lot of geniuses in the Warhammer universe. I do say not a lot. There are still, but like it's a whole alien race of super geniuses, and oh yeah, they all can travel through time. Like I said, it's a reason they fought in the Time War, and they can use time as a weapon. Not only that, Time Lords have the most horrendous and terrifying things they could do to you, like whether they lock you lock you in time itself, or lock you in a moment in time, or trap you in a gravity well where you're constantly being expanded and crushed over and over again. All these kind of horror war weapons that they could use. The Time Lords were a peaceful race, but the Time War changed them into monsters. These guys don't fuck around. They're intelligent, they're fast learning, and they know how to build some horrible weapons. And oh yeah, they can bend the laws of time and physics to their own personal will. So yeah, I think if you were to put any race from Doctor Who in that era, it's the Time Lords that are going to be like either walking away the winner, or at least being one of the biggest threats in the universe. So there you go, guys, but that's just my opinion. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what Doctor Who races, or whatever the hell I'm going to call this title, what alien races from Doctor Who could survive Warhammer 40k? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.